Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Shri Radha Vallabha Vrndavana-dasa, Hare Radha Vallabha Vrndavana-dasa, Shri Radha Vallabha Vrndavana-dasa, Hare Radha Vallabha Vrndavana-dasa, Shri Radha Vallabha Vrndavana-dasa, Shri Radha Vallabha Vrndavana-dasa, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Chakradev, Prabhus and Matajis. Please accept my humble obeisances of Krishna Prabhupada. We are very, very happy to welcome you all to our third session of the 8th online global program. And this time we will be talking about a great personality and about his life and teaching, the life and teaching of Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, who is a good recipient of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mercy and who has written one of our scriptures, the 𝐁𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐭𝐢, stating the glories of Lord Chaitanya. Dear Prabhus and Matajis, this session will be interpreted in the Hindi language, Portuguese language, and Spanish language, where we request all the devotees to tune in the right channel. And the video on the screen will instruct you how to enter the right channel.
Hare Krishna, queridos devotos, reverências, todas as glórias a Srila Prabhupada. Hoje teremos interpretação simultânea para a língua portuguesa. Se você desejar ouvir em português e estiver no computador, clique no ícone do globo no canto inferior direito da sua tela. Em seguida, selecione o idioma português. Para os usuários de celular, clique no ícone mais, depois no ícone do globo e em seguida escolha o canal de português. Muito obrigada. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा। आज हिंदी भाषा में अनुवाद की सुविधा उपलब्ध है। अपने कंप्यूटर पर हिंदी इंटरप्रिटेशन चैनल तक पहुंचने के लिए कृपया अपनी स्क्रीन के निचले दाएं कोने में ग्लोब आइकन पर क्लिक करें। इसके बाद हिंदी चैनल पर क्लिक करें। मोबाइल उपयोगकर्ताओं के लिए अधिक आइकन पर क्लिक करें, फिर भाषा व्याख्या के लिए ग्लोब आइकन पर और हिंदी चैनल का चयन करें। आपको धन्यवाद। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna, queridos devotos, reverencias, todas las glorias de Srila Prabhupada. Hoy tendremos interpretación simultánea al español. Si quieres escuchar en español y estás en tu computadora, haz clic en el icono del globo terráqueo en la esquina inferior derecha de tu pantalla. Luego, selecciona español como idioma. Para usuarios de dispositivos móviles, haz clic en el icono más, luego en el icono del globo terráqueo, luego selecciona español como idioma. Muchas gracias. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, dear devotees. The channels are available and you can join in your respective channel. And to facilitate you further, if you have any question, query, you need any kind of assistance, please do not hesitate to ask my servant from the chat box. And now let us see what we have in schedule today for our third session, which is on your screen right now, the schedule for today. We will be starting with a meditation on the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Further to that, we will be having His Holiness Chandramouli Swami, and the topic he will be speaking on is Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. And after that, we will be having our special quiz. Shortly after that, our second speaker of the day, we will be having His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj with us, and the topic is avoiding Vaishnava pride, followed by our drama. Thank you. Now, dear devotees, let us start our first part of our session. We would like to invite forward Bhumi Prabhu from Nairobi, to come forward for the golden offering to Srila Gurudev, His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami, and to seek for his blessing and permission to start today's session. Thank you. Louis Prabhu, you can start the golden offering. Louis.
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Danvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances and kindly accept this Mahagalan from Sri Radha Banki Bihari Temple in ISKCON in Nairobi in Kenya.
Haribo, thank you very much. Okay, Bihari.
Jai.
Jai Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Srila Gurudev. Now, dearest devotees, let us all have a little meditation. It's a short meditation on the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is on your screen right now.
All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is an ocean of mercy. All glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the friend of those who are ignorant of the goal of life. Wherever Nityananda's association is found, that place is most sacred and completely transcendental. If one hears the name of Nityananda, he will certainly attend the feet of Lord Krishna Chandra. All glories to Lord Nityananda, who is the first manifestation of Lord Chaitanya. The glories of Chaitanya become manifest by his mercy. One becomes attached to Nityananda by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya, and one who knows Nityananda never faces any adversities. Those who wish to cross the ocean of material existence and drown in the ocean of devotional service must worship Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is Lord Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's greatest devotee. No one can attend him without Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sanction.
All glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you very much, dearest devotees, for this nice meditation. And now, we are very happy today to have with us a very special guest. Today, we have His Holiness Chandramouli Swami, who is with us for this session. And Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada and initiating spiritual master within our Western movement. Born in New Jersey, USA in the year 1947, Maharaj has come into contact with International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Denver at the age of 24. In 1973, he began practicing Krishna consciousness in New York City, and shortly thereafter began serving at the new Vrindavan farm community in West Virginia. That same year, he received initiation from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In the year 1986, His Holiness Chandramouli Swami accepted the sannyas order and began preaching in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. In the early 1980s, he became involved with ISKCON prison ministry in the USA and began visiting prisoners and holding programs in jail, along with regular writing letters to inmates and sending them to Srila Prabhupada books. His Holiness Chandramouli Swami is now the leader of the ISKCON prison ministry. His dedication to the welfare, growth, and sustainable rehabilitation of these prisoners have culminated in the book Holy Jail, a touching compilation of the activities of the ISKCON prison ministry. In over 30 years of operation, the life of hundreds of inmates have changed due to the practice of Krishna consciousness and the support received by devotees. He also served as a resident sannyasi in Chicago from 1995 to 2013, then relocated to Croatia. At present, His Holiness Chandramukhari Swami offers spiritual guidance around Europe, USA, and India. So to welcome Maharaj, we would like to call forward Jyoti Swarup Prabhu from Ghana for the Garland offering, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Haribol, my obeisances to you and all to the Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpa Tarubhishya, Kripa Sindhu Vacha, Patitanam,
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Maharaj will be speaking on the life of Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, and if time permits us, we will be able to take a few questions at the end. Thank you, Maharaj, and kindly start today's topic. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Om Gyantamidam Dasya Gyanarjana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhishya Kripa Sindhu Vacha Pitanam Bhavane Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you for this opportunity to make some small attempt to try to glorify such a great personality as Vrndavana-dasa Thakur. Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's life is not very much known. We know very little about him, but what we know is that the father of Srivas Thakur's wife, Nalini Devi, was the personality who brought about the family lineage of Vrndavana-dasa Thakur. It's explained, of course, in the area which we now know in Navadvipa as Mamgachi. There is still the home, the birthplace of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur. Vrndavana-dasa Thakur was the son of Narayani. Narayani was the niece of Srivas Pandit. Narayani had received very special mercy from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is one brief little incident that is described where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to show the power of the glories of the process of devotional service, how it can take root even in such a small child at that time. Narayani was only 4 years old. And Lord Chaitanya was there with her. And he said to Narayani, amongst others who were there, Narayani, chant the holy names of Krishna. And she started to chant the holy names of the Lord. And she started to cry as she was chanting, feeling very great ecstasy. And Mahaprabhu wanted to use her as an example to show the glories of the holy name as it takes root, even in a little child that's 4 years old. And he blessed her. By that incident, it was mentioned that she received the full mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore, later in her life, she married. We don't know much about her husband. That's not mentioned In fact, I think he died quite young, and there's no record of his activities. But the child that was produced was Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. There was a little sketchiness in the in growing up of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. There was some influence of the Smarta Brahmins at that particular time when Vrndavana-dasa Thakura was there, and they had opposed the Vaishnavas, and so they tried to ostracize and vilify and criticize Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. Of course, he was a staunch devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and especially very much dedicated to Sri Nityananda. In fact, it is explained or mentioned that he actually took shelter of Sri Nityananda and received initiation and blessings from Lord Nityananda. And we see that if you compare the contents of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, you find that in Vrndavana-dasa Thakura's presentation on the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives a lot of attention and many chapters in the glories of Lord Nityananda, glorifying his spiritual master. The original work of it mentions also that Vrndavana-dasa Thakura had 4 disciples, and just before he disappeared, he left in charge one of his disciples to take care of his assets. At the time, his name was Ramhari, and Ramhari was actually able to make sure that the work of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura got noticed. And of course, it was difficult, as is described by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and one quite lengthy article, how Vrndavana-dasa Thakura was not accepted in the area where he was living because of the Smarta influence. And he points to the son of Advaita Acharya, whose name was Balaram. We read in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sri Advaita Acharya had 6 sons, and 3 were actually Vaishnavas who were glorious, Vaishnavas who were dedicated to serving, worshipping, and propagating the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But there were 3 other sons that became impersonalists, and there was one son, his name was Balaram, and he became a Sahajya, a Smarta Brahmana, and he was also influential in trying to minimize the importance of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. But still, by the grace of Ramhari, the name and the work of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura got prominence. We understand that Chaitanya Bhagavat was formerly known as Chaitanya Mangala, but later the name was changed to Chaitanya Bhagavat. Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, I'm sorry, Srila Krishna-das Kaviraj Goswami glorifies the work of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, Chaitanya Bhagavat, by saying that he is actually the father of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he speaks in different places throughout Chaitanya Charitamrita that I'm simply trying to chew a little bit of the remnants of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura and explain the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is simply by his mercy that I'm able to write anything. Of course, he also received the mercy of Govindaji. Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan had commissioned directly, gave his blessings to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, but he gives all glories to Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's work as the essence of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with his, of course, his activities, which are very much prominent. So sometimes the question it comes up, why did Srila Prabhupada choose Chaitanya Charitamrita to be the life teachings that would be prominent in our society of ISKCON? And I think there is two reasons that Srila Prabhupada did. And I think the most prominent of all of the reasons is that his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, had written lengthy commentaries on each of the verses of Chaitanya Bhagavat, not wanting to try to outdo his spiritual master, which is the quality of a chaste disciple, not trying to, try to show that you can do something more than your spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada opted for Chaitanya Charitamrita. Others say also that Prabhupada wanted to give us more philosophical support in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which you find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in where we find where there are many verses.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna, we are sorry to interrupt, but yeah, your camera was off. It's good now. Thank you, Maharaj. You can continue.
Not very camera presentable right now. But then,
it's good, Maharaj. Thank you.
But Srila Prabhupada wanted to give us a greater support of the Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore he understood that in Chaitanya Charitamrita there are actually hundreds and hundreds of verses coming especially from Srimad Bhagavatam in the life of describing the life of. That doesn't mean that Lord Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has overshadowed Vrndavana-dasa Thakur in his presentation. It simply means that Prabhupada understood we needed more of the tattva in order to understand the Leela. And you see in Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's work, Chaitanya Bhagavat, he emphasizes more Leela than tattva. We can get the tattva of Chaitanya Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's work from the commentaries of Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has described very nicely the glories of Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm sorry, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with Lord Nityananda especially. And it begins one beautiful verse, Ajanu Lambita Bujo Kamakama Dato Sankirtanai Papitaro Kamalaya Daksa Vishwambaro Dvijabaro Yuga Dharma Follow Vande Jagat Priyataro Karuna Avatar, which he describes the glories of Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda as the manifestations of the incarnations of Karuna Avatar, or the most merciful manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to propagate the teachings of Krishna and present those teachings as the essence of the practice of Bhakti. So there are many beautiful verses in Chaitanya Bhagavat. And there's one very beautiful, interesting purport that I found that Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati has written in regard to one particular pastime that refers to Krishna's disappearance in the world. It's a very mysterious and very little understood pastime of how Krishna left the world, arranging for the entire Yadu dynasty to fight amongst themselves, destroy themselves, and eventually leave the planet, and Krishna arranging for himself to be shot in the foot by a hunter with an arrow, and seeing that as his way to leave the world. And so there are many speculations on that, but Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and very nicely, with great detail, explains the innermost understanding of these pastimes and how it plays itself out with Krishna's Leela. I'm not qualified to go into that explanation right now, because he actually wrote 20 pages, a 20-page purport describing that, how Krishna orchestrated that in such a way as to go back to the spiritual world, leave the world, and but the essence of that particular explanation as in to keep the atheistic mentality intact. Those who saw Krishna when he was here 5,000 years ago, Srila Prabhupada explains that very few people actually understood that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada says possibly 100 or maybe 150 to 200 most understood that Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord. And Krishna interacted with millions of people when he was here. And so many people saw him as a very powerful personality, but not the Supreme Lord. Or maybe others saw him as an incarnation of the Lord, and others simply saw him as one who was just a powerful warrior. And so in order to keep everybody's ideas intact, because the Lord doesn't try to force people to understand the truth, unless one engages in devotional service, they cannot understand the nature of the absolute truth, nor can they make progress towards devotion. So in order to manifest that, Bhakti Siddhanta very carefully describes it. And it's one of the more interesting purports in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And of course, we have a few editions of Chaitanya Bhagavat, which are practically the same. There is maybe a few of the verses that are slightly expressed differently. But we find, and also was so nicely introduced in our program today, the glories of Lord Nityananda. How Vrndavana-dasa really wanted to emphasize the position of Lord Nityananda, the mercy of Lord Nityananda, and the activities that Lord Nityananda performed in his way of serving the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's one of the essence or the essential principles that was mentioned by Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. So we encourage devotees to read this particular text. It's not as long as the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but in essence, it is full of really sweet manifestations of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. One particular pastime in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that stands out, and as Krishnadas Kaviraj Swami says that he avoided expanding on the work of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, and he mentions some of the pastimes that Vrndavana-dasa Thakura mentions, but in a more succinct or more shortened version. But one of the pastimes which is very prominent both in Chaitanya Charitamrita and in Chaitanya Bhagavat, is when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu marched on the house of the 𝐶𝐚𝐤𝐿. And the Lord called for a Harinam Sankirtan, and by his mercy and power, he was able to bring millions of people from all over the universe to take part in that Harinam Sankirtan. And in describing this particular pastime, Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakura writes 745 verses describing that particular pastime. So it's really beautiful, goes into great details, especially the kirtan itself, and also the interchange between Lord Chaitanya and 𝐶𝐚𝐤𝐬, and the philosophical discussion that they had, and how eventually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy on the 𝐶𝐚𝐤𝐬, who later agreed that anyone who comes in his line should not, he promised, he said, anyone who comes in my line will not disturb the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And we find that's even there today, especially in the area of Navadvip. Because you have to understand, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't preach much in Navadvip. He preached mostly in South India. And that's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why did he do that? Because people in Navadvip, there were too many smarta brahmanas. There were too many sahajas. Although it was the bastion of spirituality, there was a large influence of Mayavadism and others. And so Lord Chaitanya put more emphasis on his preaching in South India as he traveled around spreading the holy name, meeting with different persons, inspiring them to take up the chanting of the holy names and to propagate the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So this is a little bit, I mean, there is more details. The deities of 𝐁𝐴, which was worshipped by Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, is still there in the area of Mamgachi. I think it's part of the Madodungupa. I'm not sure the particular island. I can't remember the name, but it's there. And devotees on the Navadvip Mandala Parikram, that is part of the route where we stop at the house of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura in Mamgachi and take darshan of those same deities that were worshipped by Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, beautiful deities of Sri Sri Gaura. His disappearance from the world, there's not much known about that, but we know that he had 4 disciples, and Ramhari kept the name of his guru, Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, prominent even after his disappearance. And we see the glories of one glorious disciple, how he can make a difference in propagating the teachings of those spiritual masters. Okay, this is in essence some of the details about Vrndavana-dasa Thakura and a little bit about Chaitanya Bhagavat. It's not a very, there's not much information on Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. His life is not so much known. We have very little. But if you read the article by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati on the life of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, you'll get more information about his life when he was living in, at that time, Mount Gachi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for taking us in the early life of Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur. He's taking us to Navadvip and to his beloved deities. And there was a point which you encourage the devotees to go and read those beautiful verses from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and also the position and mercy of Lord Nityananda and the way. And he has been serving the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are very important point to be applied in our life, actually. So Maharaj, we have time for 1 or 2 questions, if that is fine with you.
Yeah, time is available, but many questions you want to ask.
Sorry, Maharaj.
Whatever questions are available, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you. So if any devotees would have any question, you can raise your virtual hand. Maharaj will attend 1 or 2 questions, or you can always send it in the chat box. Thank you. So dear devotees, if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Maharaj is here who can answer your question.
Maharaj, my obeisances, all glories to your service to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my whole obeisances and thank you for your nectar. I have a question I would like to ask. Of course, yesterday, a devotee asked this question, which we have beautifully explained. Why Srila Prabhupada did not give a commentary on Chaitanya Bhagavat instead of Chaitanya Charitamrita. You have beautifully given the answer. I'm very happy. So, Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, he composed this book, Chaitanya Bhagavat. What is his relationship with his spiritual master, not Nityananda?
Actually, I can't honestly answer that question. I really don't know the history, and it's not so much explained. Not even in the article of Bhakti Siddhanta, he doesn't talk so much about that relationship. He just mentions that relationship and how he emphasized that relationship by giving a lot of prominence to Lord Nityananda in his work as Chaitanya Bhagavat. But the details, obviously they're somewhere available, because Lord Nityananda did obviously give him shelter, as we see, both Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave first people shelter directly, and the same as Advaitacharya, Gadadhar also. So I don't know the details of that, of how that actually played out. If someone there who is listening knows a little bit, they can also maybe enlighten us. I guess we would have to research some of the more lesser prominent statements and look very carefully within Chaitanya Bhagavat. It might be mentioned there, but I can't say for sure. Sorry, I can't answer the question directly.
Thank you. Thank you. I was also seeing when I was going through his lifestyle. Maybe you'd like to comment on this. That although he didn't meet with his father, like we saw the life of Nardemoni, also he didn't have a close association with his father. But these personalities became great devotees. So, would you like to say something about this?
How he became a great devotee?
Yes, he became a great devotee. Nardemoni also didn't have association with his father. Also, he became a great devotee.
Well, his mother was Narayani, and Narayani was not only blessed by Lord Chaitanya, she received his full mercy. So actually, it also says that, of course, this is written in a few places, that the son takes on the quality of the mother, and the daughter takes on the quality of the father. That is a general principle. It's not an absolute principle, but we see that happening in many times. So, although we don't know much about his father, because his father died even before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. No, I'm sorry. His father died very young, and it doesn't mention even the name of his father. His life when he was living was somewhat influenced, and not influenced, but somewhat harassed by the, this is what Bhakti Siddhanta mentions, by the Sahajyas, especially the Smarta Brahmins. Not only did they try to give him trouble, but they also tried to slander his name. So we don't find too much information about the family, or even Narayani, even after she gave birth to Vrndavana-dasa and much about that order. It's a hard topic to discuss his life because a lot of it's sketchy. If you like, I can send you the article by Bhakti Siddhanta, or anybody who would like to get that article.
Yes, Maharaj, would like to have it.
Yeah, if I have maybe to our host there, Nami Sharanya, Devi Dasi, I can send, you give me an address. As soon as we conclude here, I'll send it.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
And then you can make it available to whoever would like it. It's a very interesting article, and it also has a lot of glorifications in verse form given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami on Vrndavana-dasa.
Thank you. Maharaj, can we take one more question?
Yeah, whatever questions are available, I'm here.
Thank you. So the question is, we see there are so many sweet pastimes in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and we see that devotees were daily with each other to have such sweet pastime. But in our case, we at the maximum meet devotees weekly. So how can we relish association in Krishna consciousness and see the reality of Chaitanya Bhagavat in our life?
So we all have a very important quality in common, in that we're all trying to become Krishna conscious, and we're all trying to worship the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that goes right to the essence of our existence. beyond all bodily and material externals is that each and every devotee is very special because they have dedicated their lives to serving the Lord. And therefore, in that understanding, we build the relationships based on that. And of course, coming together as devotees, we find that we are attracted to and inspired by devotees who have similar qualities, characteristics, or natures as us, and we make friends with such persons. So you'll see that even amongst the Goswamis, they had a very, very intimate relationship with each other, so sweet, so loving, and so dedicated together to serve the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have so many commonalities that are indigenous to our practice of devotional service. So this is the real family. We may have our material family, but that is all arranged by our karma. Of course, if the persons in our material family become devotees, then we go beyond the karma into the spiritual essence. But our real family is the spiritual, because that is eternal. And that, and Prabhupada also said, we will have our ISKCON in the spiritual world also. So all the devotees who will together on this planet trying to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission and engaging in devotional service, and once they return to the spiritual world, that sanga will still be there. So therefore, we can relate to devotees because we're all on the same page. Devotees don't have any what we say false ego where you have to make a big show in order to impress the devotees, and nature very humble and always eager to serve and always eager to assist others. So making friends with other devotees is also part of our practice of devotion service. It comes very endearing to the heart. I mean, we have close friends and Krishna. Of course, it's not possible to have close relationships with each and every devotee, but there always are a few devotees who can develop that friendly and intimate relationship. We can speak our heart and mind and also exchange our realizations in the practice of devotional service. And we can be friendly to everyone and friends with a few. So, and we usually gravitate towards those devotees who are similar in nature. And then we resonate and we develop a friendship. Devotees, when they get together, they're not strangers. Even if we never met that one devotee, and you see another devotee, oh, they're a devotee, it's part of the family. we can speak to devotees at any time and any place. We never feel like we have to prove ourselves. We simply just become just be a devotee.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we have a second question from the chat box. Do we still have some time?
Yeah, it's a policy where I am. So
It's a nice question.
I'm hiding away from everyone, so I can chant my rounds. I have some time.
So, the question is from Dhananjaya Prabhu. He said, Hare Krishna, what's the content of Chaitanya? What is the content of Chaitanya Mangal? What is the purpose?
He's referring to Chaitanya Mangala that was written by 𝐿ochan-das Thakura? Because Chaitanya Mangala is also the entitled of the presentation of a part of the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then we also understand Chaitanya Bhagavat was formerly known as Chaitanya Mangala, but later changed to Chaitanya Bhagavat. So which one is he referring to? Chaitanya Bhagavat or Chaitanya Mangala by 𝐿ochan-das Thakura?
I request Dhananjaya Prabhu to please come forward and to clarify your question to Maharaj, please. Dhananjaya Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. You can clarify your question to Maharaj. Please unmute yourself. Thank you, Prabhu.
Krishna, it is Chaitanya about us. What is the purpose?
What is the purpose?
Can you repeat?
Yeah, the question is, explain about the Chaitanya Amrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavat of Vrndavana-dasa. But I heard there are the third one, Chaitanya Mangala. So my question is, what the purpose of the Chaitanya Mangala? Why there are this third book that it is Chaitanya Mangala from 𝐿ochan-das Thakura? Thank you.
Well, Chaitanya Mangala was formerly the name of Chaitanya Bhagavat, and now it's become Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, if you're referring to 𝐿ochan-das Thakura, that's a separate text altogether. That's also available at ISKCON. The Chaitanya Bhagavat is formerly known as Chaitanya Mangala. What is the purpose of it? To glorify the pastimes of the Lord and to give that knowledge to the world so they can understand the glories and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and become inspired to engage in the service of the Lord. All of these writings, because the essence of spiritual life is to glorify the Lord. And that is done through words. It's also done through written words. So there are many, many books that glorify the pastimes, activities, and positions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as devotees, we also are requested also to write also about our realizations and maybe even explanations on the pastimes, not explanations, but realizations of how these pastimes are affecting us, how this philosophy is understood. So to glorify the Lord is the essence of bhakti. To glorify the Lord is the way to spread the glories of the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj, to share that essence with us. I can see that there's one more hand that has been raised, and will you be able to take another question?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. So, Scarlet Blue, kindly ask your question to Maharaj, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you for this wonderful class. I might be wrong, but in my understanding, when I read about the Chaitanya Bhagavat. It was called Chaitanya Mangal, but there was some poet that has written the book, which named the book Chaitanya Bhagavat. That's why they got to change it. I don't know if I have understood it wrong or right.
Well, from what I understand, is I only heard it through other devotees, is that I believe Lochan Thakur's work was there. And then, in order not to have the same name, he changed it to Chaitanya Bhagavat. That's what I had heard. So I don't have any scriptural references of that, but I've heard it from other devotees. To have two different scriptures to glorify the Lord that have the same name would be confusing. So in order to make his work distinct, he changed it to Chaitanya Bhagavat. That's my understanding. Maybe someone else has some other understanding of that.
Thank you. On behalf of His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodara Maharaj and all the devotees, we would like to thank you from the bottom of our heart, Maharaj, to be with us, to share all this valuable life and teaching of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, and to inspire us to go and read those verses, and also to take us into the life and mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where we can better understand the sense of our movement and what are our duties. And we pray to have you again and again on our global online program. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you.
If you give me your email address, I'll send that article by Bhakti Siddhanta. You could just write it into the chat.
Yes, Maharaj. We will write the general email address of the program itself, where we can send it to everyone then. Okay, the tech team is taking care of that. They will send you an email address where you can send us the article, and it will be shared to all the devotees present.
Yeah, it's quite revealing a lot of the details that we don't know or mentioned in that article.
Yes. Smart. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. My obeisances to all the devotees.
And our obeisances to
Yeah.
and our obeisances to you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, dearest devotees, after the inspiring class from His Holiness Chandramani Maharaj, now let us move on to the next part of our program, which is the quiz. So it's quiz time, dearest devotees. Let's get ready. This time for our quiz, we will be having one video, and we invite you all to watch and listen to this video carefully, because the questions will be extracted from this video, and you have to give the correct answer. And also, the sooner you answer, the fastest you answer, the more liable you are to win. Dearest devotees, so on your screen right now, let's see the quiz video together. Thank you.
You are a big scholar. I have written a book describing Lord Krishna. I would be very grateful if you tell me if there are any faults in it.
Krishna is pleased with the devotee's poetry, even if it's improperly composed. One who finds fault in a devotee is himself at fault.
You will not be at fault, but you must tell me if there are any errors in this.
The party form should be used here?
I have carefully analyzed what you said from all angles and realized there is nothing wrong with using the verb in the Atma Nepali form.
Jai, Jai, wonderful. That is actually true. And I am happy that you have defeated me. Jai, Jai.
Hare Krishna, dearest devotees, just before we go to the quiz session, to the question, we are happy that His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj has already joined us, and we would like to welcome Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances. All Krishna Prabhupada, and all glories to you. We are very happy to have you with us. So just we would like to welcome you, and we will have the question or the quiz, and then Maharaj will be giving his talk. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. So let us go to the quiz question now, dear. Thank you. Dearest devotees, so this is the quiz for session 3, and we have already watched the video. Now let us have question 1. And which pastime was described in the previous video? A. Srinitai and Nimai Pandit role-playing a discussion among Mahabhagavatas. B. Sri Ishwarapuri asking Srinimai Pandit to find fault in his book. C. Sri Gadadhar Pandit asking Srinimai Pandit a question about Srimad Bhagavatam. And D. Sri Gangadas Pandit asking Srinimai Pandit to find fault in his book. And on the screen, the poll will appear right now for you to choose the correct answer. And the fastest you choose it, the more liable you are to become the winner. So the poll has been launched. It's on your screen, dearest devotees. You can click the correct answer. It's happening. You still have 10 seconds to click on the right answer. And now let us see which one is the correct answer. The correct answer is, it's on your screen right now, and the answer is B, sorry. Sri Ishwarapuri asking Srinimai Pandit to find fault in his book. Thank you. Let's go to the next question. Second question. Question 2. Why did Srinimai Pandit not want to find fault in the book written by Sri Ishwarapuri? A. Because it is not proper to find fault in the writing of seniors. B. Because only a sannyasi can find fault in the writing of a sannyasi. C. Because finding fault in writings that glorify Krishna is itself faulty and sinful. D. Because one who corrects a devotee is destined to hell. And the poll will be on your screen. now, and please choose the correct answer. There we go, and the correct answer will be on your screen shortly. And the correct answer is C, because finding fault in writings that glorify Krishna is itself faulty and sinful. So let's move forward. Okay, so just a little description. Ishwarapuri was happy to see Nimai, and for that he did not know him as a supreme lord. He still had love for him. Ishwarapuri smiled and said, "You are a big scholar. I have written a book about the characteristic of Lord Krishna. I would be most satisfied if you would tell me if there is any fault in it." The Lord replied, "Whoever finds fault in a devotee description of Lord Krishna is a sinful person. Krishna is certainly pleased with his devotees' poetry, even though it is imperfectly composed. One who finds fault with a devotee is himself at fault, for a devotee description are meant only for the pleasure of Krishna. Therefore, who will dare find fault with your devotional description of Krishna pastime?" This is from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda 11, 103 to 110. Let us go to our last question, dearest devotees, together. It's on your screen now. The question is, why did Srinimai Pandit become happy with Sri Ishwarapuri and did not find any further fault? A, because Srinimai Pandit became afraid of committing a sin. B, because Srinimai Pandit knew Sri Ishwarapuri would never accept defeat. C, because Srinimai Pandit was tired of argumentation. And D, because Srinimai Pandit always wanted to expand the glories of his devotees. And the poll will appear on your screen right now, dearest devotees. You can choose a correct answer. And the poll has ended. Now, dearest devotee, let us see together which one is the correct answer. And the correct answer is D, because Srinimai Pandit always wants to expand the glories of his devotees. Let us move forward. Okay. When the Lord heard his explanation, he was most satisfied with his sermon victory, and he did not find any further fault. The Vedas declare that the Lord by nature always expands his devotees' glories by making them victorious. In this way, Ishwarapuri passed a few months enjoying scholastic pastime with Sri Gaurachandra. Ishwarapuri, however, would not remain in one place due to the restless nature of his ecstatic love. He just went out on pilgrimage to purify the earth. This is also from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda 11, 121 to 124. Thank you, dearest devotees, to have participated in our quiz. And of course, by the end of the session, you will get to know who are the winners. So now we shall move forward. Our second speaker of this evening is someone really special and one of our ISKCON pioneer. His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. His Holiness Giriraj Swami was born as Glenn Philip Tetton, the only son of a respected Chicago lawyer who was later appointed judge. In March of 1969, while studying in a university in Boston, he met with His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, from whom he felt more in one brief exchange than he had learned as in his many years of academic education. After graduating from Vrndavana-dasa in July of the year, he accepted formal initiation from Srila Prabhupada, and he received the name of 𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐝𝐥𝐢. 𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐝𝐥𝐢 quickly became a leading member of the Boston Center, and he was soon given the opportunity to go to India with Srila Prabhupada and help establish Srila Prabhupada's mission there. In 1972, he was appointed by Srila Prabhupada to be president of ISKCON Bombay and trustees of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. And he subsequently oversaw all aspects of the development of the Hare Krishna land in Juhu, Bombay. In the year following Srila Prabhupada's departure in 1977, 𝐤𝐢𝐧 Maharaj was awarded the Renounced Order of Life and appointed president of ISKCON Board of Trustees in India. In 1982, he was appointed to ISKCON Governing Body Commission, and he went on to oversee the society activities in Bombay, Mauritius, South Africa, Spain, Portugal, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. He was instrumental in the acquisition and development of Bhaktivedanta Ashram in Govardhan and led the development of the Kirtan Ashram for women, the Bhaktivedanta Hospice, and the Vrndavana Institute of Palliative Care, all in Vrindavan. He has also taught at the Vrndavana Institute for Higher Education and continues to lecture and to give presentation at the retreats and workshops worldwide. Throughout his effort, 𝐤𝐢𝐧 Maharaj has become renowned for the austerities he has accepted, his loyalty and dedication to Srila Prabhupada's mission, his ability to raise funds and cultivate important members of society, and his care for devotees around the world. Based in Carpinteria, California, he is presently focusing on one of the main personal instructions he received from Srila Prabhupada, and that is to write. And he is working on several projects, including books about his search for a spiritual master and his early days in Boston Temple, a set of books on Vaishnava holidays. He edited Life Final Exam, Death and Dying, which is a book on death and dying from the Vedic perspective. And he's also the author of Watering the Seed, which is the teaching of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and also many moods. And the book state that it is a reflection on deported Vaishnavas. He also wrote a book which is I'll Build a Temple, which is a Juhu story. And today, devotees, all together, we see the opportunity to share very good news with you all, a very good and special and inspiring news with you all, because His Holiness 𝐺𝐻𝑖 Swami is about to launch his new book, and the title is being passed out today for the first time. And his new book is The Dancing White Elephant, and where Maharaj is stating his story when traveling with Srila Prabhupada in August 1970 until March 1972, which will be released very soon, which we are all awaiting to have our copy where we can read this beautiful and enchanting pastime. We are very happy to have you with us, Maharaj, and we would like to invite a Kamita Prabhu from Nairobi to come forward for the garland offering. And the topic Maharaj will be talking about today is avoiding Vaishnava pride. And also, Kamita Prabhu, you can come forward for the garland offering.
Hare Krishna, 𝐺𝐻𝑖 Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. We were fortunate to get the association of your dear disciple, His Holiness Bhakti Prihad Bhagwati Maharaj, and as As a reciprocation from ISKCON Nairobi, we present these two gallants from Jagannath and Sudarshan Chakra from ISKCON Nairobi. Hare Krishna.
Hi.
Maharaj ki.
Jai. Thank Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. You can start to the lecture. The topic is avoiding Vaishnava pride. And of course, devotees later, Maharaj will be taking questions. You can always raise your virtual hand to ask question directly to Maharaj, or you can have it in the chat box. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I will begin by singing the Mangalacharna prayers and leading a short kirtan. And then we will speak about a little about Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, and then the main topic of avoiding Vaishnava pride. Shri Guru Shri Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satisri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satisri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So to begin, I will speak a little about Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, whose disappearance day we are observing and commemorating. And then I will speak about avoiding Vaishnava aparadha. So, today is Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's disappearance day. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 1155 states, quote, Srila Vyasadeva describes the pastimes of Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vyas of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Vrndavana-dasa. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada elaborates, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur was an incarnation of Vyasadeva and also a friendly cowherd boy named Kusumapida in Krishna Lila. In other words, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, the son of Srivas Thakur's niece, Narayani, was a combined incarnation of Vedavyas and the cowherd boy, Kusumapida, end quote. And Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur was the last initiated disciple of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 8:33 to 40, 42, and 44, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami glorifies Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur and his book Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, then called Sri Chaitanya Mangala. Quote, O fools, just read Sri Chaitanya Mangala. By reading this book, you can understand all the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thakur Vrndavana-dasa has composed Sri Chaitanya Mangala. Hearing this book annihilates all misfortune. By reading Sri Chaitanya Mangala, one can understand all the glories and truths of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and come to the ultimate conclusion of devotional service to Lord Krishna. In Sri Chaitanya Mangala, later known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has given the conclusion and essence of devotional service by quoting the authoritative statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if a great atheist hears Sri Chaitanya Mangala, he immediately becomes a great devotee. The subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally spoken through the writings of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. I offer millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. No one else could write such a wonderful book for the deliverance of all fallen souls. What a wonderful description he has given of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Anyone in the three worlds who hears it is purified. Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has written Sri Chaitanya Mangala, and therein described in all respects the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. That is Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami's appreciation and glorification of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. In his purport to text 45, Srila Prabhupada writes, quote, Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat was originally entitled Sri Chaitanya Mangala. But when Srila Lochan Das Thakur later wrote another book named Sri Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur changed the name of his own book, which is now therefore known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. The life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very elaborately described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami has already informed us that in his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he has described whatever Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has not mentioned. This acceptance of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami indicates his acceptance of the disciplic succession. A writer of transcendental literature never tries to surpass the previous acharyas. And Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport to text 48, the subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spoken through the writings of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur. That's the text. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, the secret in a devotee's writing is that when he writes about the pastimes of the Lord helps him. He does not write himself. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Didami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Since a devotee writes in service to the Lord from within gives him so much intelligence that he sits down near the Lord and goes on writing books. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami confirms that what Vrndavana-dasa Thakur wrote was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that Vrndavana-dasa simply repeated it. So, my dear devotees, how blessed we are to receive knowledge of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through our glorious parampara and to be engaged in their service. So now we will come to today's topic, avoiding Vaishnava aparad. And in order to do so, we have to understand, one, who is a Vaishnava, and two, what constitutes an offense or aparad. And in discussing this topic, I I will refer to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's discussion in Sri Harinam Chintamani. And I might add that although Jagai and Madhai were so sinful and had so many bad qualities, they did have one redeeming quality, and that is that they never blasphemed Vaishnavas. And that helped them in their success in being delivered by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So the first offense against the holy name is known as sadhu ninda, criticism of Vaishnavas, and is very harmful for those wanting to progress in spiritual life. Well, let us first define what a sadhu or Vaishnav is. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna enumerates to Uddhava the characteristics of a sadhu. And many of you may be familiar with the 26 qualities of a Vaishnav. So these are the characteristics that Krishna enumerates to Uddhava in the 11th canto. Dayalu, merciful. And we also should check ourselves to see to what extent we exemplify these qualities, and to what extent we need to work on them. So first, Dayalu, merciful. Sahishnu, tolerant. Sama, equal. Joda Sunya Vata, penance without injury to the body. Satyasar, truthfulness. Vishuddhatma, purified. Praharta Rata, engaged in the welfare of mankind. Kame Akshubhita Buddhi, intelligence free from lust. Danta, restrained. Akinchana, devoid of the concept of ownership. Mridu, gentle. Suchi, clean. Parimita Bhoji, regulated in eating and other habits. Shantaman, peaceful. Aniha, apathetic to materialism. Dhriman, patience. Sthira, steadiness. Apramata, attentive, alert. Sugambhira, very grave. Vijita Sadguna, conquering over the 6 gunas: hunger, thirst, lamentation, envy, old age, and death. Amani, not expecting honor from others. Manada, giving respect to others. Daksha, expert. Avanshaka, non-hypocritical. And Jnani, knowledgeable of the scriptures. By these characteristics, one can know who is a sadhu. However, there are 2 types of characteristics, namely principal and marginal. The principal characteristic is exclusive surrender to Krishna. It's Krishna Kasharna. Whereas all other qualities are dependent on it. By some good fortune, one may get the association of Vaishnavas and then attain a taste for the name, chant the name, and take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. This becomes the chief characteristic. And by continuing to chant the name, all the other characteristics make their appearance. Therefore, they are called marginal or accompanying. Though secondary to the principal characteristics, they will certainly appear in the body of a true Vaishnava or sadhu as an effect of proper chanting of the holy name. So in determining who is a sadhu or a Vaishnava, we have to look for the primary characteristic, which is Krishna-ika-sharanam, having taken a full shelter of Krishna. On the other hand, the status of Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, Sudra, Kshatriya, Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahman of the Varnashram system, and their respective habits and qualities are external distinctions that in no way determine who is a sadhu. So yes, according to a person's position in Varnashram Dharma, he may manifest different qualities as appropriate for his Varna or ashram. But these respective habits and qualities are external distinctions, which in no way determine who is a sadhu. The chief characteristic of a sadhu is his complete surrender to Krishna, which is not dependent on a certain varna or ashram. In other words, it doesn't really matter what your varna or ashram is, but you're considered a sadhu or a Vaishnava if you have the qualification of complete surrender to Krishna, Krishna-ika-sharanam. Through the example of Vrndavana-dasa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught how the Grihastha Vaishnava should act. The married man should enter household life with a mind steadily fixed on service to Krishna, not enamored by sense gratification. And in this way, the householder can gradually cross the ocean of material existence. Instead of playing as a false renunciate, Markata Vairagi. Markata Vairagi means the renunciation of a monkey. And Srila Prabhupada comments that monkeys appear to be very renounced because they don't wear any clothes, they just eat fruits that are available in the forest. But every monkey has 24 girlfriends. So, yeah, Markata Vairagi. So instead of playing as a false renunciate, Markata Vairagi, enjoying with the senses in the cloth of a sannyasi, it is better to take only those things necessary for survival in the material world while cultivating non-attachment. So one of our most important principles in devotional service, as enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami, is yukta vairagya, which means appropriate renunciation. And the beginning of the definition is anasaktasya vishayam. It means without being attached to the objects of the senses. Anasaktasya vishayam. And then nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, seeing everything in relationship to Krishna, how things can be used in the service of Krishna. Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, yukta vairagya uchate. That is said to be appropriate renunciation. So, instead of playing as a false renunciate, markata vairagi, enjoying with the senses in the cloth of a sannyasi, it is better to take only those things necessary for survival in the material world while cultivating non-attachment. One should always be internally fixed on Krishna, although externally one may act according to one's social custom and varna and ashram. Krishna quickly delivers such a Grihastha Vaishnava. When Vrndavana-dasa gave up household life, the Lord gave him instruction on the life of renunciation. Quote, one should neither listen to materialistic conversations nor speak materialistic topics to others. One should not eat fancy food or wear fancy clothing. One should always chant the holy name, respecting all, without expecting honor, and meditate on eternal service to Radha and Krishna in Vraja in one's mind. End quote. The principal characteristic is one, namely surrender to Krishna's name, which is non-different from Krishna, which will prevail in all sadhus, no matter what varna or ashram, grihastha or sannyasi. However, according to ashram or varna, the secondary characteristics will differ to some degree. And even if there, and this is a very important point, my dear devotees, and even if there appears some bad element or fault in a person, if he has the chief characteristic, surrender to Krishna, he must be considered a sadhu and be respected and served by all. This is Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita as apichat sudaracharo bhajate mam ananyava. Sadhu eva samantavya. That even if one is found to be engaged in the most abominable activity, still is to be considered a sadhu or saintly because he is situated in devotional service. So yes, this is Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita. When one has developed a taste for chanting the pure name, it is said that chanting just one time will destroy the influence of all past sins. Some remnants of those sins may still remain, but they will be completely vanquished by the influence of the holy name. Since those traces of sin will go quickly, that person is known as the most righteous person. Of course, if a materialist sees those traces of sin in a Vaishnava sadhu, he may consider that the sadhu is just like a materialistic sinner. If he should criticize the sadhu because the sadhu has a trace of sin coming from previous sinful activities, he is committing sadhu ninda. is to be considered a rascal because of his fault of criticizing a Vaishnava. And by this namaparad, thence unto one who has surrendered to the name, he falls directly under the wrath of Krishna. So my dear devotees, we should be very careful that even if there are some traces of sin in a devotee or a sadhu, we should not criticize the sadhu because in due course, soon enough, those traces of sin will also be eradicated by the process of surrender to Krishna and Krishna's holy name. It is concluded that one who is solely devoted to Krishna and sings his name is known as a sadhu. Other than the devotees of Krishna, no one else is considered a sadhu. But one who considers himself a sadhu is filled with materialistic pride. Whereas one who humbly thinks himself to be the lowest rascal humbly takes shelter of Krishna and sings Krishna's name is a real sadhu. Knowing himself to be less than a blade of grass, considering himself like a tree of tolerance, not expecting honor for himself and giving honor to all other living entities, he chants the holy name and attains attraction for Krishna. Of course, here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is paraphrasing Lord Chaitanya's instruction in the Shikshastika, verse 3. Chinadapi sunichena, Rarapi sahishnuna, Amanina manadena, Kirtaniya sadahari. If a person of the above qualities chants the holy name even once, he is considered a Vaishnava and should be respected. The Vaishnava is the friend and spiritual leader of the universe. He is an ocean of mercy to all living entities. Yes. Panchakalpatrubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Whoever criticizes such a Vaishnava goes to hell birth after birth. For there is no path for real liberation other than bhakti, and bhakti is obtained only by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So I find it very purifying to be reading this, reading it and discussing it. In the pure Vaishnava resides Krishna's energies of bhakti, Hladini and Samvit. Yes, bhakti is composed of these two energies, Hladini, which is the pleasure potency, and Samvit, which is the knowledge potency. Thus, by contacting a Vaishnava, one can also receive Krishna Bhakti. Yes, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhakti, that Bhakti comes from Bhakti, and one can get Bhakti from the Bhakti within the heart of a Bhakta. Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhakti. Thus, by contacting a Vaishnava, one can also receive Krishna Bhakti. For this reason also, the food remnants the foot water, and the foot dust from the pure devotee are three powerful articles for creating bhakti, as this is also stated in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, very beautiful. Bhaktapada Duli, that means the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. Bhaktapada Jal, the water that has washed the feet of a pure devotee. Bhaktapada Duli, Bhaktapada Jal. Bhakta Utishta, and that means the food remnants of a Vaishnava team. These three are very powerful substances for creating bhakti. If one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the bhakti energy flowing from his body. If one can bind that energy within one's heart, after having developed strong faith, bhakti will develop in one's body. Bhakti will develop and one's body will begin to tremble in ecstasy. Thus, by living close to a Vaishnava, soon devotion will appear in one's heart. Now, we also have to be careful. Living close to a Vaishnava is an extremely powerful process to develop bhakti. But we also have to be careful because, as Srila Prabhupada said, sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. And some of Srila Prabhupada's personal servants, by too much close association, began to see Srila Prabhupada in mundane ways. So that's also a consideration of which we have to be mindful and careful. But in principle, if one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the bhakti energy flowing from his body. If one can bind that energy within one's heart, after having developed strong faith, bhakti will develop and one's body will begin to tremble in ecstasy. Thus, by living close to a Vaishnava, soon devotion will appear in one's heart. First, such a person will begin chanting the holy name, and then, by the power of the name, he will receive all good qualities. This is the particular power of the Uttama Adhikari. And the next point is very important, my dear devotees. A Vaishnava may be criticized on 4 accounts: his caste by birth, previous sins or faults in this life, an unpremeditated accidental act of sin, and present traces of previous sinful activities. Though all these conditions may be present in a Vaishnava, they are insubstantial grounds for criticism of a Vaishnava. So I'll just repeat that list so you can be mindful not to find fault with the devotee on account of these 4 elements. His caste by birth, previous sins or faults in this life, an unpremeditated accidental act of sin, and present traces of previous sinful activity. Though all these conditions may be present in a Vaishnava, they are insubstantial grounds for criticism of a Vaishnava. One who so blasphemes a Vaishnava will be punished by Yamaraj, because the Vaishnava is spreading the glories of the holy name. The Lord does not tolerate such criticism of a Vaishnava. Giving up dharma, yoga, sacrifice, and jnana for the name of Krishna. The Vaishnava is the topmost person. Criticism is a serious offense. Furthermore, he does not criticize the scriptures or the demigods, but simply takes shelter of the name. One should rather eagerly take the dust from the feet of a Vaishnava, regardless of whether he is a grihasta or sannyasi. One will treat him only according to his advancement as a Vaishnava, which is based upon the degree of attraction to the holy name. Such things as ashram, wealth, learning, youthfulness, beauty, strength, or numbers of followers are not factors. So the only real consideration is his advancement in Krishna consciousness, which is based on his attraction to the holy name. It goes without saying that one who has taken shelter of the name will not indulge in sadhu ninda. One who criticizes a sadhu is not situated in bhakti, but in aparad against bhakti. A serious person, therefore, would not indulge in criticism, but associate with, hear from, and serve the sadhu. Sorry. Because association, and this is a very important point, my dear devotees, because association with those who are not devotees is bound to produce disrespect for devotees, sadhu ninda. The devotee is careful to avoid such association. Materialistic association, or asat sanga, is of two types: association with women and those who are devoid of devotion to the Lord. And this is, again, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur here is paraphrasing Lord Chaitanya's instruction. Asat sang tyaga e Vaishnavachar, the behavior of a Vaishnava. Asat sanga tyaga is that he gives up association with the asat. Asat sanga tyaga e Vaishnavachar. Stri sangi eka sadhu. So one type of non-devotee is one who associates with women for sense gratification. Or I should say one type of association that we should avoid is someone who associates with women for sense gratification, and the other is one who's not a devotee, Asat sang tyaga e Vaishnavachar, Sri sangi eka sadhu, Krishna bhakta, abhakta, means not a devotee, Krishna bhakta. So this Sri Sangi, this association with women, which is not authorized by scripture, is divided into association with women outside of marriage for the purpose of sex, and association within marriage where one is controlled by one's wife. Thus, only if one is married according to prescribed rules and is following the rules for married life, in which the wife is submissive to the husband and the husband acts as a sadhu, is the association considered bona fide? Other types of association are considered asat. The second type of association, asat association, is association with non-devotees. And that is of three types. It's also very important. Lord Chaitanya said, Asat Samtyaga E Vaishnavachar Stri Sangi Ekasadu Krishna Bhakta are. So what are the three types of abhaktas, of non-devotees? 1, Mayavadis. 2, pretenders. And 3, atheists. Mayavadis believe that the Lord and the jivas are both temporary entities, and that the Lord's murti form is material. The pretenders, so that's the first type, the Mayavadis, and the pretenders, though without genuine devotion or renunciation, pretend to be devotees to make a living. And the third category, the atheists, do not believe in any form of God. Now, these people may claim to be devotees and may be accepted by the public as devotees. But if one rejects such people, it is not considered sadhuninda. Furthermore, one who criticizes a person who gives up these asat people should also be rejected and avoided. So, every day in Juhu, Srila Prabhupada would go for his morning walk on Juhu Beach. And every morning, or almost every morning, he would be accompanied by Dr. C.P. Patel. And Srila Prabhupada's morning walks with Dr. Patel are quite famous and also instructive. And Dr. Patel would often bring up, so-called spiritual leaders of India. And Srila Prabhupada would apply the standards given in the Bhagavad Gita. And if he found that the so-called sadhu was not up to the standard, he would say so, frankly. And sometimes Dr. Patel would become upset. And once in particular, things came to a head when Srila Prabhupada criticized a so-called spiritual leader of India, for whom Dr. Patel had a lot of respect. And Srila Prabhupada and Dr. Patel were arguing. In fact, they were shouting at each other. And Dr. Patel had his cronies who accompanied him. And even they were telling him, don't argue with Swamiji. He has a heart condition. But they were really like, boxers in a boxing ring, attacking each other. And eventually, Dr. Patel's friends got him away from Srila Prabhupada. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada was very merciful. And that's another point, because when Tamal Krishna Goswami suggested that Dr. Patel is so offensive, why do you tolerate him. And then Srila Prabhupada said, you know, our duty is to engage everyone. But coming back to this point, one who criticizes a person who gives up these asat people, like Srila Prabhupada did, and he was sometimes, you could say, criticized for it by Dr. Patel. One who criticizes a person who gives up these asat people should also be rejected and avoided. Therefore, the serious devotee who gives up asat sanga, which causes sadhu ninda, and exclusively takes shelter in the name, will certainly receive the treasure of prema. It may be absorbed that in order to proceed properly to prema, one must be able to distinguish the devotee from the non-devotee. For one must avoid the apparatus of criticizing the devotee and seek his association, and simultaneously reject the non-devotee's association completely. Of course, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in other places comments that, you know, in one's workplace, one may naturally have some interaction with non-devotees, and that is not considered an offense or a deviation. But one should not take their advice, take the advice of non-devotees on spiritual matters. But casually, one at work or at school, one may have to interact with them, and that's okay. One must furthermore be able to distinguish the types of Vaishnavas according to their spiritual advancement. There are three types: the materialistic Vaishnava or Vaishnava Raya, almost a Vaishnava, is he who has mediocre faith in Krishna, but has no service attitude towards sadhus. It's like a 𝐾𝐻𝐴dhikari. Actually, such a person is not a Vaishnava, but the dim image of a Vaishnava, Vaishnava Abbas. However, if he is not a Vaishnava, how will he be permitted to associate with Vaishnavas who do not associate with non-Vaishnavas? Therefore, this person is considered to be at the beginning stage of a Vaishnava, Kanistha Vaishnava, upon whom the actual fixed-up Vaishnavas will bestow their mercy so that he becomes purified. The next higher stage of Vaishnava is the Madhyam Bhakta, who can recognize the importance of the Lord's devotees and thus always associates with them. In faith, he is convinced of Krishna's position as the Lord, the jivas as his eternal servants, the process as bhakti, and the goal as prema. He shows mercy to the innocent who have a little faith, the Kanistha Bhaktas, by giving them sambandha gyan. And he avoids the enemies, asat sanga, understanding the different effects of the different types of association. So yes, it's said in, about the Madhyam Bhakta in Srimad Bhagavatam, prema maitri kripa upeksha. Prema, he gives his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maitri, he makes a friendship with devotees. Kripa, he gives mercy to the innocent by preaching to them. And upeksha, he neglects the envious. So he shows mercy to the innocent, those who have a little faith, the Kanistha Adhikaris, by giving them some sambandha gyan. And he avoids the enemies of satsanga understanding the different effects of the different types of association. Even at the stage of Madhyama Bhakta, one is considered a pure Vaishnava, with the qualification of tasting the real holy name, not Nam Abbas. As a real Vaishnava is able to distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava, so that he may avoid a satsanga and sadhu ninda and serve the advanced devotees. He must do this for his own advancement. He who experiences Krishna as the life and soul of everything, and who sees Krishna situated in everything, and consequently does not make distinction between Vaishnava and non-Vaishnava, but simply engages in relishing the nectar of the holy name, is called the Uttama Vaishnava, the most advanced devotee. As that's Mahabhagavat, he sees that everyone is serving Krishna, and therefore there's no need to preach. And the Mahabhagavata, or the Uttama Vaishnava, you could say, adopts the mood of the Madhyam Vaishnava when he comes to preach. Being overcome with the material modes, if one commits the offense of blasphemy against a devotee, one should sincerely feel repentant and cry at the feet of the devotee for mercy and forgiveness. The devotee, who is by nature very merciful, will forgive the offender. So, my dear devotees, I've taken a little longer than was allotted to me, but I hope you will forgive me. And now, according to the schedule, there should be questions and answers. So if any of you have any questions or comments or reflections, please raise your hand, your physical hand or your virtual hand, and we'll spend up to maybe 10 minutes with questions and answers.
Okay, Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. We already have our first question from the Vrndavana-dasa Prabhu. And ask your question, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, last, please speak.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj, you mentioned about the 𝐶𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻𝑒 verse. So no matter whatever sinful activity one may perform, then he can still be considered a sadhu. But sometimes this verse can also be misused. So how can we properly apply this verse? Like sometimes a devotee may do something wrong and put this verse like an excuse. So how can we apply this verse properly?
Yeah, well, that's sort of like the offense of committing sin on the strength of chanting. That verse, 𝐴𝐵𝐶𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻𝑒, refers to an accidental fall down. But if one wants to deliberately take advantage of the verse and intentionally engages in sinful activities, it's very offensive. It's just like committing sin on the strength of chanting. So that is not the idea. But, as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to that verse, sometimes one's constitutional duties and one's, as you could say, societal duties run parallel to each other, and then sometimes they become opposed to each other. And Srila Prabhupada says the devotee is always careful to maintain a healthy equilibrium. So that's really how we should proceed.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, good question.
Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. And now we have Jananda Prabhu. Kindly unmute yourself for your question, Prabhu. Jananda Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances as just for you to speak, Maharaj.
Hi.
So, my question is regarding, you mentioned that there are 3 things that a devotee can do so that he can accelerate his devotional practice. You mentioned that we can take the dust of the lotus feet of the senior devotee. Now, we see that sometimes when a sannyasi is giving lecture, the temple, and just outside the temple, there is a sleeper of the sannyasi. So devotees, they come and they take the sleeper and they put on their head. So is it the proper way to take the dust from the lotus feet, or there is something else that we have to do?
That could work. Yeah, I mean, generally a Vaishnav, being humble, will not want people to touch his feet or take the dust of his feet. So one may have to do it in a somewhat indirect or sneaky way. And I think that is okay.
Yeah. Okay, and
but let me read the verse because it's so beautiful. I mean, I've been quoting it, but so this is, as I mentioned, it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, chapter 16, text 60. Bhakta Padaduli ara Bhakta Padajal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha, Teen Mahabal. The dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are 3 very powerful substances. And then the next verse, text 61, Etinas Seva Haite Krishna Premahaya, Puna Puna Sarva Shastre Pukariya Kaya. By rendering service to these 3, one attains the supreme goal of ecstatic love for Krishna. In all the revealed scriptures, this is loudly declared again and again. In text 62, Tate bara bara kari suni bhaktagana, Vishvasa karya ekara etina sevana. Therefore, my dear devotees, please hear from me, for I insist again and again, please keep faith in these 3 and render service to them without hesitation. Text 63. Tina haite Krishna nama premera ulasa, Krishnera prasada tate sakshi kalidasa. From these 3, one achieves the highest goal of life, ecstatic love of Krishna. This is the great mercy of Lord Krishna. The evidence of this is Kalidasa himself. And we won't discuss Kalidasa, but he had faith in these. And anyway, we won't discuss them. But yes, this is the point about these 3 substances, 3 powerful substances.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. And I have one more question, Maharaj.
Okay.
Generally, when a person is prone to get a disease, he will be having some like sign and symptoms. And through that symptoms or signs, we can say that in 2 days or 3 days, he will be becoming sick. So now coming to the Vaishnava Aparadha, are there any signs and symptoms that we can detect prior to committing Vaishnava Aparadha? Like a warning sign we can detect?
Yeah. Well, most offenses begin in the mind. I mean, they do. They begin in the mind. And then they become expressed through words. So if one finds oneself thinking negatively about Vaishnavas, finding faults in Vaishnavas, then one should be careful, because that mental offense can become a vocal offense, which is more serious. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that with the same tongue that one used to blaspheme a Vaishnava, one should glorify the Vaishnava. So that is the way to, you could say, counteract the offense of blasphemy. With the same tongue that you used to blaspheme the Vaishnava, you should glorify the Vaishnava. And as a practice, we should appreciate Vaishnavas and praise Vaishnavas, and that will protect us from sadhu ninda or Vaishnava aparadha.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Jananda Prabhu. And the next one is Pooja Anand. You can kindly ask your question, please.
Unmute. Okay. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much for this beautiful lecture. Maharaj, you mentioned that exclusive surrender to Krishna is ultimate, which is, of course, so true. But at the same time, it comes to my mind that we've heard things like Vaishnavamscha Yathashambhu from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and at the same time, okay, let me be honest. I'm coming from my own example, my own thing that, lately I have started to recite Shri Radha Kripa Katakshakam every day from March, early March. And then there's so much gratitude that I feel for Lord Shambhu, because every time I would go for a bath in Radha Kund, I would first say my gratitude and prayers to Lord Shambhu because those verses were, those 12 beautiful verses are given to us by him. But now I am beginning to see that in my last 18 years of practice in Krishna consciousness, I did not really have any gratitude for Lord Shiva, but now every morning in my morning sadhana, I say that. So where do you draw the line? Like, how far can you go? Or do you just, so my fear is that I should not incline so much. I mean, of course, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so I know, but this push and pull, just trying to get that from you, guidance.
Yes, what you quoted is correct. Vaishnava-namyata Shambhu. Lord Shiva is the greatest of Vaishnavas, and we respect him as a Vaishnava. But we do have to be careful about how we worship Lord Shiva in front of others, because they may not understand our mood of worshiping Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava, but they might think that Lord Shiva's on the same level as Vishnu, which would be an offense. So when you say, where do you draw the line, what exactly do you mean?
Do you just stop with gratitude? Because this is what I'm at. So do you just say your gratitude prayers that, oh, Lord Shiva, thank you for giving us Radha Kripa Katakshakam, and I'm forever indebted to you, and thank you so much. Or, you could recite certain prayers for Lord Shiva, specific prayers. I don't know. So that's what.
I think just expressing your gratitude is sufficient on
Sure.
ordinary occasions. I mean, on special days like Shivaratri, you can offer other prayers to him. They're beautiful prayers to Lord Shiva, appreciating him as a Vaishnava, by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, for example. So, but I would reserve those for special occasions such as Shivaratri.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shamaraj. Thank you so much for always being with us for our online program, and for the important points you made today in your class, especially glorifying Vrndavana-dasa Thakur from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and to make us understand who a Vaishnava is actually, and also that how we should remain fixed in our Krishna consciousness, and the mercy that we get when staying yet ready to a Vaishnava. So we are really grateful to you for sharing so much with us today as a learning point, and of course to be applied in our spiritual life, in our daily life. We thank you so much, Maharaj, also for that special mercy of sharing your book title with all of us, which we are awaiting. I'm sure all of us here are awaiting for your book with great vigor and excitement. So thank you so much, dear Maharaj, for being with us this evening.
Joy.
Thank you.
I saw somewhere Hari Vallabhi raised her hand. I don't know what that is.
Yes.
But...
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh, I see. There she is. There she is with her hand up. Do we have time?
You can unmute yourself, Mataji.
Thank you. Sorry for the late question. I posted it on the chat, but I think doesn't. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Guru Maharaj, I have one question. When you read about Sripad Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, you mentioned that a devotee, when he is doing the service of writing, does not surpass the previous acharyas. So I would like to understand better in what way should we apply this principle if we do some sort of a writing service. And there's another question related to this, but please.
Well, the basic idea is that we should consider ourselves to be the humble servants of the previous acharyas of the parampara, and not think that we can, surpass them. As I quoted, a writer of transcendental literature never tries to surpass the previous acharyas, and we maintain that mood by considering ourselves as the humble servants of the previous acharyas, and praying for their mercy to be able to serve them through our writing in the proper mood.
is that how you apply this when you write your books?
Yeah, I'm always praying. I'm always praying. Yeah, in fact, there's maybe I'll read it because it's very instructive and also dear to my heart. So this is like from a beautiful talk that Srila Prabhupada gave on the significance of Hanuman's being on the flag of Arjuna's chariot and the mood of a Vaishnava. So I'll read it. Quote, just as nowadays every nation has different types of flags, so Arjuna also had his flag on the chariot. The flag was on top of the chariot, and it was marked with Hanuman, Bajrangaji, who fought for Lord Ramachandra. Arjuna is fighting for Krishna, so he is following the footsteps of Bajrangaji. Vaishnavism is like that. Mahajanayena gata sapanta. The Vaishnav should follow his previous Mahajan, authority. That is Vaishnavism. In the fighting principle, Arjuna is fighting for Krishna, and he is following the previous fighting acharya, Hanumanji. Therefore, he has depicted his flag with Hanuman, that Hanumanji, Bajrangaji, kindly help me. This is Vaishnavism. I have come here to fight for Lord Krishna. You also fought for the Lord. Kindly help me. This is the idea, Kapidwaja. So in any activities of the Vaishnavas, they should always pray to the previous acharyas. Kindly help me. Vaishnava is always thinking himself helpless and begging help from the previous acharya. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find the author at the end of every chapter, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. In every line, he is thinking of Rupa Raghunath, previous acharyas. Let me surrender to the Goswamis and they will help me how to write. You cannot write. That is not possible. So this is Vaishnav's policy. Vaishnava Thakur Tomara Kukura Balya Janaha Mori. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, my dear Vaishnav Thakur, just accept me as your dog, as the dog works by the indication of the master. He will give his life. Dog has a good qualification. However strong a dog may be, when the master orders, he will give his life. That is dog, faithful, so faithful to the master. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying, Vaishnava Thakura Tomara Kukura Balya Janaha Mori. My dear Vaishnav Thakur means guru. Kindly accept me as your dog. As a dog keeps watch, so I will watch so nobody will come and disturb you. And whatever little prasad you'll give me, I'll be satisfied. That is a dog's qualification. The master is eating, but the dog will never come unless the master gives a little morsel. He is satisfied. So this is Vaishnavism, to follow the previous acharya. This is Vaishnavism.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I understood. Thank you. So in one last question. So in the past time where Vallabhacharya was writing a commentary. I forget which commentary, but Mahaprabhu was not even willing to entertain him. Was it the same reason that he was not in the right mood?
Yeah. Yes, Vallabhacharya had some pride, and he declared that he had written a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam that surpassed the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that one who is not faithful to one's Swami. So this is like a play on words, because husband is also referred to as Swami, and Sridhar Swami is also Swami. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, one who is not faithful to one's Swami is a prostitute. And how can I hear from a prostitute? So yes, Vallabhacharya had that pride, and he thought he could surpass the commentary of Sridhar Swami, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rebuked him for that offense, for that pride.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for the clarification. So grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. We are always happy to have you with us for sharing so much, especially taking us in Srila Prabhupada first time. We are so grateful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So are we ending now? Or is there another continuation?
So our next program, Maharaj, is we are having a drama prepared by the devotees from Brazil, for another 15-20 minutes. And then we will have the announcement for the quiz. So, yeah.
So I think I'll take leave now. And before I do, I would like to offer Vaishnava Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Panchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubheva-cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakura ki jai.
So Nigiraj Maharaj ki jai.
His Holiness Bhakti dear Damodara Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your precious time and for your precious association. So dearest devotees, now we keep moving on to our next item. We are very happy to announce and to watch together a drama from the Brazil Yatra, devotees from Hanuman Ashram from Florianopolis, Brazil, on your screen right now. Hare Krishna. It was indeed a very, very, very beautiful drama. And we would like to thank the devotees for all the effort and hard work that they have put in making this beautiful drama. And all glories to you all. Thank you. And so, dearest devotees, we are coming toward the end of our program. Just a few more items to go. As you already know, the history of this online program started with the desire of 𝐒𝐤𝐳, His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami Maharaj, where he wanted all his aspiring disciple, and also aspiring disciple, and all the well-wishers to be able to come under one roof and to get to know each other. So, geographically, and because of our commitment, we might not all meet under one big roof. So 𝐒𝐤𝐳 has come up with a solution, and the solution is a Zoom platform, where today we are making a humble request and appeal to all the devotees, to all the aspiring disciple, and also all the well-wishers to please join the Seva team. We come together, let us serve together. Let us get to know each other. Let us all try to serve even in different parts of the world, but we try to come together to support the online program, and in that way to build up our connection and to be able to get to know each other and also to serve. So we are having our forthcoming online program, and we would be happy if many other devotees would come forward to help in the Seva team. On your screen, you will have a slide right now where it will mention about the devotees. There's Srila Mataji and Yogini Mataji. You can WhatsApp them on these numbers. If not, you can always send a mail on the BBDS Global Event at gmail.com to participate, to join in our forthcoming online global program, and of course to come together to serve as so desired by 𝐒𝐤𝐳. Right? And thank you, dearest devotees. And now, yesterday, due to time constraint, we were unable to share the quiz winners, right? So we shall do that today so that we are able to give everyone their due. So yesterday, quiz winners were, for question 1, the Nairobi, on the third place, it's Nairobi devotees. On the second place is His Grace Radha Madhav Prabhuji. And on the first position is Dr. Vivek Kumar. For the second question, third position is Dr. Garbi Jain. Second position, His Grace Madhurya Leela Mataji. And on first position, Her Grace Tulsi Toshika Mataji. And for the third question, third place, it's Dr. Aditya. And on the second place is His Grace Vishnu Jan Prabhuji. First place is Dr. Vivek Kumar. For the fourth question, third position, it's Dr. Bidal Sharma. On second position, Dr. Yobra Obri, and also Dr. Vivek Kumar. That was for yesterday. And now let us see who are the winners for today. So winners for today is for question 1 on third position, it's Dr. Abhinav Sharma. Second position, Bhakti Vanshika Mehta, and on first position, it's Bhakta Anjam. Question 2, third position, Bhakti Shuddha. On second position, Banke Bihari Das, and on first position, Bhakta Kamita. For the third question, third position is Her Grace Sakhi Vrndavana-dasa. On second position, Bhakti Kasi, and on the first position is Bhakti Shuddha. So thank you, dearest devotees, for always enthusiastically participating in our quiz, and to have a little fun together. Right? Thank you so much. So we are coming nearly toward the end of our program, and we're also very happy to announce that the forthcoming global program, which will be a very, very special event, as it will be 𝐒𝐤𝐳 Vyasa Puja, and which we will be doing in the month of June. The exact date and other details will be communicated to you all very, very soon. And it's always a pleasure to have everyone on Zoom, and where we can share some nice spiritual moments. And I would really like to invite Srila Gurudev to come for the closing word. Please, Srila Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, all the devotees, those who actively participate in organizing everything, and also those who have fully participated. We wish the blessings of Srila Vrndavana-dasa for all of you. And our dear speakers, His Holiness Dhira Maharaj, His Holiness 𝐁𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐭𝐢 Maharaj, with Srila Vrndavana-dasa. Wish the blessing for all of you, and we pray that you have promoted in your Krishna consciousness. You remain blessed for the best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Srila Gurudev. Now, dear devotees, to end this beautiful evening, we invite you all to join us along with His Holiness Bhakti Swami to go on the street for some Harinam Sankirtan party, which is the conclusion of our sessions, and also just a way to share the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu far and wide. Thank you so much.
That's my wish.
सुनी तेरी के गाय मोरा
शाटा पुकारे जेनो गाना चाहे वारी शाना तेनो हेरियो चांदा वादाना
पुकारे जेनो गाना चाहे वारी शाना तेनो हेरियो चांदा वादाना
रसा मिये तुम्हारा वासा तुम बिन नाही भाया माने
रसा मिये तुम्हारा वासा तुम बिन नाही भाया माने
अरे ते मुरली ठाके गान राधा बोली डाके जो तुक्सान ना पाई देखी पीते
करते मुरारी ताके गाना राधा बोली डाके जो नुकसान ना पाए के
तुम्हारा नुपुर ध्वनि आपा श्रवण सुनी तबे मोर क्षमा होया चीता
तुम्हारा नुपुर ध्वनि अपना श्रवण सुनी तबे मोर क्षमा होय चीते
सुनो राधा ए रसा मिये तुम्हारा वासा तुम बिन भया मोने
तुम्हारा वासा तुम्हारा बिन नहीं भाए मोने
राधा कृष्ण ज्योति नामा ताहे तुमी आगुयाना आमी कोरी तोमारी बोरासा
कृष्ण ज्योति नामा ताहे तुमी आगुयाना